I'm Sunny Goldberg, and welcome to Know Your Neighbors. I'm thrilled to be sitting in the Lincoln Glen Gallery on the corner of Larchmont Avenue and the Boston Post Road. A beautiful place owned by these two delightful fellows, Ellie Sterngast and Doug Gold. Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming.
I'm thrilled to be here. You know, personally, you've been to my home. You know I love art. And I'm so glad to be here. You guys are new, but you're not new to art. How did you get here to Larchmont? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up around art. My father always collected and brought me to museums and art galleries and exhibitions, starting from the age I was born. Some of my earliest memories are sitting at the Met, complaining that I wanted a pretzel, to then going through the exhibition and kind of falling in love with art. And right around the age of 14, it started to get more and more passionate. It started to be something I wanted to do with him rather than get in the back seat we're going into the city.
Be bribed.
Yeah.
Right.
And I went to college not anticipating to go into the arts, but throughout school I would go back and forth, one summer interning at a museum or working at an art gallery, and then going back thinking I'd follow a different pursuit. And when I finished school, I ended up getting offered a job at a gallery in the city.
Wow.
And from there, 6 months later, was offered a different job as a director and stayed there for the last 6 years, ultimately running their paintings department.
In Manhattan?
Yeah.
Okay. You must have taken Art 101 with Hutchinson's art book.
Yeah.
Unless it's gone out of style.
I think it was a different book, but
it was a different book, okay.
But I did take Intro to Art History and Overview.
We all did that and had to memorize date.
Yeah.
Every little dot seems to whisper Surratt. Oh, God.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and Ellie, tell us about you.
And I grew up in Saratoga Springs in upstate New York, surrounded by so many museums with great Hudson River School collections. So that was my first love. My parents would take me to museums on the weekends, or when we went on sports trips, they would add on the museums to the trips. I studied archaeology in college at University of Michigan. I was interested in the pursuit of finding something really special that hadn't been seen for a while. And that kind of translated to art and the gallery world of finding spectacular objects that maybe other people have missed.
Terrific. And how did the two of you meet?
Oh, well, that's a longer story than expected.
Well, a shortened edition.
Yeah.
I had one day off between my old job working for a gallery in New York and my new job working as a fine art appraiser.
So you went to his gallery.
And his parents were moving from his childhood home. And they were having a tag sale for a lot of their art.
Come on.
So I went and visited, and I kept bothering his father to see this one sculpture by John Chamberlain.
I wouldn't permit him to see it on the day of because it was in like the back room and I didn't know who he was. And this tag sale operator told my dad, if you put big names in the sale, you'll get lots of people to come. Well, my dad didn't really want people to buy his John Chamberlain or Ed Ruscha or James Rosenquist. So it just sort of was like, let's put it in a private room. And if and Eli asked, and my dad didn't give access.
I tried.
And he saw that my dad was friendly with one of Eli's mutual acquaintances, and he got my father's phone number and called my dad, and my dad said, he's about the same age as you, you talk to him. And
From there, it's history.
It's history.
And you guys opened this wonderful space. I'm looking out at I'm looking out at across the street with sun coming in. But did you make those windows specially so that it doesn't hurt covered with that?
They were already UV tinted.
Oh, they were?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
which was,
And that's right, because Mamaroneck
Yeah.
Artist Guild was here.
yeah.
But did
For
you
many years,
did
yeah.
you open this space up? It looks so open.
They had displays that needed to be torn out and moldings and wall panels, and it just didn't feel like the New York City quality that we wanted to have our names on.
Great. And so you came to Lincoln Glen. How?
I grew up on Lincoln Ave. Doug grew up on
Glen.
Road.
I love it.
We didn't want to name it specifically after ourselves, and we wanted to honor our childhood experiences that had led us into this industry.
Wow, good job. Well, as I told you, contemporary art I adore, but this is a combination starting maybe 19th century American art,
Yeah.
and I certainly know Ashcan, I certainly know Hudson River, but you can learn a lot in this gallery.
Yeah, we cover an overview from really 1850 to 1980 for the most part, in mediums from watercolor drawings to paintings. And we really have individual focuses and knowledge and expertise, but we try to have a variety and then mix exhibitions.
Well, you definitely have a mix. Paul Jenkins is right behind me, and those are much older pieces on that wall. So I think that's, I did that with an old house and contemporary art. I love that mixing, and I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, we're trying to educate visitors on as much as possible in the time that they spend here. For example, our last exhibition was for Sharon Francis, who's now 83 years old. Her birthday was last week.
Did she come?
And she was at this
how
opening.
nice.
We had 200 people for her. But the next exhibition, for example, is for paintings of New York City from 1860 to 1960. So it's very different in the subject matter and time period.
You guys are Larchmont's Whitney.
We're trying to be.
I mean, I was just thinking, I was just at the Hopper, and
Excellent.
I lived in number 3 Washington Square Village, and Hopper lived right there. And all of these New York pieces were just wonderful. And so I'm looking forward to that next show as well as this one. Would you guys walk us through and possibly show us some of the pieces?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to show you 2 of my favorite pieces in the gallery. Both are from wartime America. This is Charles Green Shaw from 1944. He was a founding member of the American Abstract Association. In the 30s, he was known for his collages, and he moved towards biomorphic abstraction. And this is a great example about how he reduced a figurative work to just shapes.
Right.
And I know you love football. This is the Harvard and Yale game in 1944. It was actually a year that Harvard and Yale didn't play each other because of the war. Charles Green Shaw attended Yale as a student, so we suspect that he was reminiscing about better times in America. I just love the details in here.
Terrific.
And how he just reduced the shapes. And then this one is arguably my favorite painting in the gallery. It's by Marianne Appel, who was Doris Lee's neighbor in the Maverick colony in Woodstock. And this was the one that she produced to try to increase beer consumption in America. And you'll see, even the women have glasses of beer here. And I love the details in this one as well. You can see exactly what they were eating at the time. The ham, the cake. It just looks like the perfect scene to be a part of.
The dogs, the cats.
The box of kittens over there.
Yeah, the dogs playing with each other. It's my favorite. I can't hide it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up, Doug.
I'm up. On This wall, I absolutely love this Ernest Feeney painting, partially because we just came back from West Virginia, and it really does look like that, especially when the coal's coming up the barge. The artist was working in the WPA at the 1930s, and he was traveling through Pennsylvania and West Virginia that winter between mural projects, and he wanted to sort of document what he was seeing in what he felt industrialization and ghost towns of that part of the world. And from my experience this weekend,
He did it.
He did it. But on this wall, I really fell in love with this painting by Calvert Coggeshall, who's one of the artists that we represent. He worked on this painting in 1956 when he was part of that New York School abstract movement. He was showing at Betty Parsons Gallery.
Wow, that's a biggie.
Who really was one of the first abstract galleries. The same year this work was shown at Betty Parsons was the year Pollock had a solo exhibition there. And I think that's really sort of neat. And when you look at abstract art from that period, you have to realize they were trying a completely new style of art. No one knew what was right or wrong, and they just sort of wanted to find their own voice in that group, not to look outside of it to a bigger picture or equate it with the rest of the world. Just probably 50 artists in New York that would like to drink at the same bar every night.
Right, that's right. And the brush strokes so apparent. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Terrific. Ah,
And it pairs right next to a painting by Jean Cohen.
Who was Alex Katz's first wife. They were married for 6 years, beginning about 1950. I think they divorced 1956. And of course, Alex Katz has a retrospective right now at the Guggenheim.
but
And
these
part
are
of,
so completely different, my God.
right. Part of what we want to do is draw out some of those names who were kind of forgotten by time, but who should be known. And this is one of these examples.
Wow. Did she have shows in the...
She had many shows. She showed at Phoenix Gallery in the 70s and Tanager, which is how her and Alex Katz was so involved. But she was really passionate about her own art and not the promotion, and sort of a little absorbed in the artwork process. And lived out a tiny bit in isolation, and over time would sell works and enough to scrape by. And there isn't a large body out there. So we were really excited because so many abstract expressionists and females artists are starting to get attention, and we think she's due.
I think you guys have laid this out magnificently. My eye keeps going to the gray and the gray, and the way you've done it is terrific, really. Wow.
And this Joseph Stella painting, a fantastic example of American modernism. Parts of it remind me of an Arthur Dove a little bit.
When was that done?
This is probably 1922 to 1924, and we suspect it was executed in the Bronx. But the artist was always so interested in the tree of life as a symbol, and that's why I think he was focused on trees and nature and flora in this painting. And he has an exhibition right now at the Norton Museum in Florida, which will be traveling to the High Museum in Atlanta.
Can you walk us through a couple, or talk us through a couple of pieces? You want to start that?
Yes, absolutely. There's a few pieces up in the gallery that are quote-unquote favorites. I should be unbiased, but I'm not.
That's okay.
It's hard to
And
be.
they're not always the most expensive or valuable,
No.
but just in the corner beside me is a small watercolor by an artist named Hans Pfeiffer, who only painted for about 8 years. And he dropped out of high school at 16 to join the Bauhaus movement and was Paul Klee's favorite student at the time.
Wow.
But he stopped painting in 1932 when the Gestapo told him his art was too abstract, and if he ever painted again, he would have a different lifestyle than anticipated. So he went back to France, where he grew up, and he tried to burn all his art. And his dad pulled the sparks out of the fire or refused to let him take it to the fire in the backyard,
Wow.
saving hundreds of works. And ultimately, he became an optometrist and wrote dozens of books on light theory. And he was able to produced something great from his time at the Bauhaus, which was really a focus on light and color and alteration.
Right.
But if you look at that piece, it is completely abstract and from 1930
So early.
and different from any other artist. And almost certainly, if that meeting didn't occur, he would have gone on to become a famous artist.
Definitely. I'm sure
Yeah.
that people of today
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have looked at that because those kinds of things really help mark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a language
Yeah.
that you learn from.
Yeah.
That's great piece. I love
Yeah.
the colors. And how about you, Eli?
I really like this Marianne Appel to the left of us. It was executed as an advertisement for the Beer Belongs series in 1945 to promote beer consumption.
Before Warhol.
Yes, to promote beer consumption and beer production in America. There was a push at the time, kind of a prohibition push in conservative and rural America to
You
limit.
mean like in Qatar today?
Yes, exactly, exactly. So this advertisement was meant to promote beer consumption and beer drinking, bringing women into the community, into the beer drinking community.
We should tell the brewery in Mamaroneck they ought to purchase
Yeah.
something like that, right?
Yeah, that'd be perfect for them.
And do the living artists follow through and come when you do a show, or are they supportive?
I think we only represent one living artist at the moment, Sharon Francis, who's that 83-year-old
Got it.
artist, and she was able to attend
Right.
our opening. It was her first exhibition in nearly 40 years since exhibiting with Tibor de Nage in New York. So I think it was really, really special for her to see, but also for us to see her
Yeah.
amongst all the
Yeah.
paintings hanging again.
And has your father been here?
My father has been here.
And what did he think?
I think he's a very proud dad.
I'm sure he's a very proud
He
dad.
has some favorites, but I knew he would.
Yeah.
And his collection is a real juxtaposition. It started out with traditional American and has gone to almost pure minimalism. So he kind of hops all over the place and just can't help himself when he walks into any gallery, specifically this one.
So were you ever able to talk him out of anything?
No, he's a stubborn one.
Yeah. He did sell a George condo for me 3 weeks after that meeting, so it was a
And
successful
I
one.
tell you, we did a show at the new museum, George's retrospective.
Yeah.
Phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, really.
He's so creative and passionate and
He's a far out guy.
yeah.
He really is.
And a great collector in his
And a-
own right.
In his own way, right. So, were there glitches in trying to open this place?
There were small ones, just building a database that could fit our needs in terms of inventory, building a website. These were new things that we hadn't done before.
And it's only the two of you.
Yes.
Just the two of us right now.
And were the villages supportive?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
especially the Chamber of Commerce. Our neighbors have been very supportive, and we look forward to working with the community on events in the future. We're hoping to be part of a Hanukkah walk next month.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, we're trying to really
When are you
be part
doing
of the
that?
community.
What's the date on that?
December 18th,
Okay, because Hanukkah, that's the first
night.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm going to tell my grandkids. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't be below zero. It could be. You can
Yeah.
never tell. And the Hanukkah walk, you'll go to different places,
Different shops.
different shops. Terrific. So that is supporting the shops in the community.
Absolutely. The Chamber of Commerce has been very welcoming to us.
And if you had to say one thing that was your favorite thing about this gallery, what would you think? I mean, having it, owning it, is it rather than working for somebody else?
It's a combination, I think, of all of those things. I think you got it absolutely right there. I think selecting the inventory ourselves and being able to put our names behind it is a really special feeling.
How about you, Doug?
I would really say just having the gallery in general and knowing that Lincoln Glen is now myself has become much more important to me than almost anything else besides family and friends. But Lincoln Glen is part of my family now. And when I sell something, I have to stand behind it and I have to educate my clients. And when people come in here, you know, they get to see who I am, what I like, what my interest is. And that's really special to me.
To me, art is, as I told you, a jungle gym for the mind. It stimulates you. There's stories. That's my favorite thing. And you guys give them the story. You give them the history. And it becomes part of you. You walk around and you say, I got that at so-and-so, I met so-and-so. It's what it's all about. The language, the discussion, and the fact is, very few things are left, but art is around. So you can look back at the history of these paintings and see things you might never have seen. And especially here, because we're much newer in America than France or Italy. And I just think it's a terrific idea that you did this and have such wonderful quality. You know, sometimes local, in terms of art, is not up to this standard. And I don't mean to be judgmental, but it's really quite exceptional to have these kind of artists all around.
Yeah, well, thank you. We try to have every one of our artists, or at least 90% of the artists on display have had a solo show exhibition at a museum, and we really want to keep that standard. It was the standard that I had at my past job, and as well as Eli. And to us, that's important because we don't want to just follow trends. We want something to solidify.
Right, the 10% who haven't had museum shows, it's our goal to have museum
to
shows.
stimulate a couple of things we haven't talked about. Tell me your hours.
We're here Tuesday through Saturday, Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Saturdays from noon to 5 p.m.
From noon to 5 p.m. Your website is, which we'll put down.
LincolnGlen.com.
Well, that's pretty easy. And in the last few minutes that we have, is there anything I've forgotten to ask you, or there's something you really want to leave us with?
We fell in love with the town as soon as we first got off the train to check this space out. We love the amount of bakeries nearby that are really dangerous.
Definitely.
But
what is it? Cocoa and those are great, absolutely.
yeah, but also the walkability of the town is so nice. I take the train up from New York, and Doug drives from Astoria. But it's so nice to be able to be in a walkable community.
Yeah, Astoria, that's a bit of a commute for you.
Well, it's about a 35 to 40 minute drive because I commute at off gallery hours, and it's really not that far geographically.
Right.
But
you got to really figure on the traffic.
yeah, but I've gotten that down now. It took a few weeks.
And what would you say that if you were leaving us with a thought, would you encourage people to do what you guys did? Was it a tough decision?
For me, it was an easy decision, but I was sort of mentally ready. I was at that point a crossroad of careers. But I would encourage anyone to go with what would make them happy, because I really do feel a lot happier being in the gallery and having my own life, my own schedule, and not being dictated.
And how long does the average show run?
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. So you're thinking ahead months?
6 months to a year ahead.
6 months to a year ahead.
Yeah.
Wow. And this show went up when?
This show went up about 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's nearing the
end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the next show starts December 10th.
But I assume that you have a place in back where you keep things, and if somebody sees something and the show is over, they could talk to you and you would show them.
Absolutely, and we also have storage nearby, and we bring stuff to clients' homes and apartments for them to leave on inspection and approval.
I was going to ask you if you did that. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Wow. So if it works, it's,
Yeah,
and if it doesn't,
it comes back.
it comes back. That it couldn't be better,
Yeah.
really. I'm thinking of my kids, definitely. But have you had any kind of critiques, like a Peter Senjal, God bless him, who's passed away, but any critics come in and I mean, we don't have that ability here. The Journal News, for example, did they send somebody to your opening?
It's a little bit more difficult to draw critics from New York up here. That's one thing that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
But we have been able to have reviews in American Fine Art magazine,
good.
which was great.
Okay.
The Fine Art Globe, and a couple other publications as well.
That's terrific. Wow. Well, I must tell you, it is very exciting for me to be sitting here with both of you. I thank you for the time, and we could do it again.
I hope so.
Okay.
Thank you for visiting.
And I will look forward to seeing you around the hood, as well as maybe you'll come back and visit again to my house.
We would love to.
Okay. Thank you, guys. And everybody, check this place out. It is warm, welcoming, and a beautiful part of the Larchmont Village. Should I say decor? I would just say it's just a wonderful part of the community. So thank you, Lincoln Glen. I love it that you named it on your streets. And thank you, Doug. Thank you, Ellie. And thank you guys for watching. See you next time on Know Your Neighbors. Bye.